Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky arrived at the White House on a chilly Friday in early March 2025. The meeting, with former U.S. President Donald Trump, was billed as a chance to solidify a historic deal. This deal would grant the United States mining rights to Ukrainian rare earth minerals. In exchange, Ukraine would receive economic benefits and security assurances against Russian aggression. However, the air was thick with tension. The weeks leading up to the meeting had been fraught with disagreements and misunderstandings. The proposed deal had exposed fundamental differences in how both leaders viewed the conflict in Ukraine and the path to peace. Trump, true to his nature, had taken an unorthodox approach. He had bypassed traditional diplomatic channels and engaged in direct talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Zelensky, for his part, was walking a tightrope. He was eager for U.S. support, but wary of being drawn into a deal that could further inflame tensions with Russia. The meeting was supposed to be a culmination of weeks of negotiations. However, it quickly became apparent that the two sides were still far apart on key issues. Trump, according to sources familiar with the meeting, was frustrated by what he perceived as Zelensky's intransigence. He questioned Zelensky's commitment to peace and accused him of not doing enough to appease Putin. Zelensky, on the other hand, felt pressured to accept a deal that did not adequately address Ukraine's security concerns. The proposed deal centered around granting U.S. companies exclusive mining rights to a significant portion of Ukraine's vast reserves of rare earth minerals. These minerals are essential for the production of everything from smartphones to electric cars to advanced military hardware. For Ukraine, the deal represented a much-needed economic lifeline. The war with Russia had devastated the country's economy, and the influx of foreign investment promised by the mining deal was seen as crucial for rebuilding. However, the deal was not without its critics. Some experts questioned whether Ukraine was getting a fair price for its resources. Others worried that the deal would make Ukraine overly reliant on the United States, potentially undermining its sovereignty. There were also concerns that the mining operations themselves could have significant environmental impacts. For the United States, the deal was seen as a way to secure access to critical resources and reduce dependence on China, which currently dominates the global rare earth market. The deal was also seen as a way to exert leverage over Russia, which has long seen Ukraine as part of its sphere of influence. The meeting reached a boiling point when, in full view of the assembled press, Trump directly challenged Zelensky's commitment to peace. Eyewitnesses reported a heated exchange, with voices raised and accusations flying. Trump, known for his blunt communication style, reportedly told Zelensky that he needed to get serious about negotiating with Putin and stop playing games. This very public dressing down shocked many, both in the room and around the world. It was a stark departure from the usual diplomatic protocols and a clear indication that the meeting had gone seriously off the rails. Following the outburst, Trump's aides quickly ushered Zelensky out of the Oval Office, leaving a stunned silence in their wake. The abrupt end to the meeting and the very public nature of the disagreement sent shockwaves through the diplomatic community. It was a clear sign of the deteriorating relationship between the two leaders and cast serious doubt on the future of U.S.-Ukraine relations. The incident also raised questions about Trump's approach to international diplomacy and his willingness to use aggressive tactics even with allies. In the immediate aftermath of the disastrous meeting, Zelensky found himself in the unenviable position of trying to salvage what he could from the wreckage. Maintaining a calm and composed demeanor, he publicly thanked Trump and the American people for their support. However, behind the scenes, he and his team were scrambling to contain the diplomatic fallout. Zelensky embarked on a whirlwind tour of European capitals, seeking to shore up support and present a united front in the face of Trump's unpredictable behavior. He met with key leaders in the United Kingdom, France and Germany, emphasizing the importance of continued international pressure on Russia. Zelensky also used these meetings to reiterate his commitment to a peaceful resolution, but stressed that any deal must respect Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Section 5. Trump's unpredictable approach. The clash with Zelensky was just the latest example of Trump's unorthodox and often volatile approach to foreign policy. Throughout his time in office, Trump had shown a disdain for traditional diplomatic protocols and a preference for personal relationships with world leaders, even those considered adversaries by the U.S. government. In the case of Ukraine, Trump had repeatedly expressed a desire to improve relations with Russia, even at the expense of US allies. He had questioned the value of NATO and suggested that the United States should not be obligated to defend its allies if they were attacked. This stance had alarmed many in the foreign policy establishment who saw it as a betrayal of America's commitments and a gift to Putin. Section 6. The future of US-Ukraine relations. The very public breakdown of the meeting between Trump and Zelensky left the future of US-Ukraine relations hanging precariously in the balance. The incident exposed the deep divisions that had emerged between the two countries over the best way to approach the ongoing conflict with Russia and the terms of any potential peace deal. The immediate impact was a chilling effect on diplomatic engagement. Communication channels, once buzzing with activity, went quiet as both sides retreated to reassess their positions. The uncertainty surrounding the relationship had far-reaching consequences, impacting everything from military cooperation to economic aid to joint diplomatic efforts. Section 7. Military aid in limbo. One of the most immediate casualties of the diplomatic fallout was the fate of US military aid to Ukraine. The United States had been a key provider of military assistance to Ukraine since the outbreak of the conflict with Russia, supplying weapons, training, and intelligence. This aid had been instrumental in helping Ukraine defend itself against Russian-backed separatists. However, in the wake of the Trump-Zelensky clash, the flow of aid was thrown into doubt. Reports emerged that the Trump administration was considering freezing or even canceling a significant portion of the military assistance package. This news sent shockwaves through Ukraine, which relied heavily on US support to deter further Russian aggression. Section 8. Differing expectations. At the heart of the impasse lay a fundamental difference in expectations. Trump, operating from his America First worldview, saw the relationship with Ukraine primarily through a transactional lens. He believed the United States was providing significant assistance to Ukraine and expected something tangible in return, such as the lucrative mining deal. Zelensky, on the other hand, while grateful for US support, believed that Ukraine was fighting not just for its own survival, but for the broader principles of democracy and the rules-based international order. He argued that the United States had a moral obligation to support Ukraine and that true security could only be achieved through a comprehensive peace agreement that addressed the root causes of the conflict. Section 9. The long road ahead. As the dust settled on the disastrous meeting, it became clear that the road ahead for US-Ukraine relations would be long and arduous. The relationship, once considered a cornerstone of US foreign policy in the region, was now mired in uncertainty and mistrust. Whether the two countries could find a way to bridge their differences and rebuild trust remained an open question. Much depended on the willingness of both sides to engage in good faith diplomacy, to listen to each other's concerns, and to find common ground. The stakes were high, not just for Ukraine and the United States, but for the future of peace and stability in Europe.